probably many of our viewers and listeners, have an academic career. They've experienced college and the college life. Many of them are going to have advanced degrees, and it is interesting that there does seem to be a gap between your days in college and how the real world works. And it sounds like you're actually bridging that gap. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I'm trying to, right? There's another great book called The Knowing Doing Gap, which basically says there is a difference between knowing something and then doing something about it. And so as a professor of practice, that just means I've done the thing I'm teaching about. One of the things I focus on with my students is, parents plug your ears. Once you graduate, no one cares about your grades. No one's going to ask you what your GPA was. And in fact, if you're a 4.0 student, I'm going to have questions about how you handle, adversity. Because if you've never experienced getting a B or a C or having a bad semester and then you bounce back, I'm way more interested in that than the fact you got, straight A's across the board. But teaching students, look, when you graduate and you get your big boy and big girl jobs, people are going to be interested in how gritty you are and how resilient you are, right? We call it the chihuahua on the pork chop, right? Allow that visual to sink in. Are you the first person there, the last person gone, and do you do the job? And this harkens all the way back to my young privates that I used to counsel in the Army. Be where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you will have an easier time, right? Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg have all said, Larry Bossidy, Larry Ellison from Oracle have all said, a ridiculous amount of your success coming out of college has to do with your attitude, not what school you went to, not what degree you hold, but your attitude. Be the chihuahua on the pork chop, and suddenly things will start to, align for you. So that's what I teach my students. Learn how to do, not how to memorize and regurgitate. That's not learning. I don't know when that became learning, but I don't have them memorize and puke stuff up back on a test. I say, let's learn about it. Now let's apply it. So in my sales class, they build, you know, sales plans. They build territory plans. They build comp plans. In my international business class, they build go-to-market strategies from their home country of the United States to a host country of their choosing. In my DEFR class, they get evidence. They work through case data. They write updates. They write reports. I don't, giving them a test to see what they memorized over the last 6 weeks. That's not learning to me. I want to see you do something with it. So all of my classes have a really heavy application focus, because when they graduate, I want them being able to get a job in their chosen field, doing what they want to do, and shorten that distance from graduation to, okay, I'm a big boy or a big girl now.
Yeah, and be valuable when they get there.